morning. If I could please have everyone's attention. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate our ceremony on Veterans Day. My name is Dick Pastor. I'm the commander of Westwood American Legion Post 320. On behalf of the post, I'd like to welcome you all here and thank you for being here today. Before we begin, I'm going to ask Father Paul Soper to come up and offer a prayer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For those of you who are Catholic, I just want to point out that today is the feast day of St. Martin of Tours, which is significant for us on Veterans Day because St. Martin is the patron saint of all of the men and women in military service. He's from the very early life of the church, and his cape was very important in the devotion to him, and it was from his cape. The priests who would carry his cape well after his death would carry his cape into the accompanying the armies. Were called capellanos because he carried his cape, and that was where the word chaplain came from, by the way, for the priests who cared for the men and women in the military. So, let us pray. Lord, ever mindful of your loving providence, and for the care which you bestow upon us, your faithful sons and daughters. We ask you on this day of memorial, on this day of hope, we ask you to take care of all of the men and women in our armed services at this hour. Keep them safe from all that could harm them. Keep them safe from the ravages of war. Keep them safe from loneliness and isolation. Help them to be good and honorable men and women with a keen sense of patriotism and a keen sense of being a part of a community that loves them. We ask you, Lord, also please to pour your multitudinous blessings upon all of our brothers and sisters who are veterans, who have served in the armed services through the years. We ask you that our own hearts may be filled always with gratitude for the service in which they provided. And we ask you to bless them with prosperity, with good health, with peace in their minds. And we ask you, when their own hour comes, that you bring them home to the great family of your saints. We ask all of this in your most holy name. Amen.
Recover. And I'd ask everyone to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Color Guard. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin our ceremony, we have some people that are going to offer some remarks for Veterans Day. And I would ask Mary Ann LeBlanc Cummings, Chair of our Select Board, to come forward.
Thank you, Commander Pastor, for the introduction, and thank you for the tremendous leadership that you provide to the American Legion Post 320 here in Westwood. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of my fellow Select Board members, Rob Gotti and Joe Previtera, and the town, I want to thank Senator Rush and Representative McMurtry for their presence here today, and to also thank all of the people who worked so hard to make this ceremony possible today. And I want to welcome all of you especially all of our veterans and active military servicemen and women, to our annual Veterans Day observation. Today, our hearts swell with pride and gratitude as our nation unites in honoring the 1.4 million active service members and nearly 18 million veterans in the United States who have answered their country's call in serving in America's armed forces. In Westwood, we are honored to have more than 450 veterans living among us. Humbly, we thank our veterans for their sacrifice, their service, and their loyalty to our country. Our peace and our freedom is the legacy of their service. Because they have served, we can proudly sing that we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. As we gather again this year for this beautiful service here in Veterans Park, I would like to specifically recognize the members of our American Legion Color Guard who present year after year at our Memorial Day and Veterans Day observances. And I hope you will join me now in expressing our appreciation of them. In closing, I would like to adopt the words of our United States Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, who is a retired 4-star general in the United States Army. To our veterans, by lending your talents to the United States military, you made us stronger and smarter. By serving with courage and compassion, you set an example for the next generation. And by giving so much, you reminded us that this democracy is worth defending. And for that, we owe our veterans not only our deepest gratitude, but also our unwavering commitment to the democratic values that you have been so proud to defend. Thank you to all of our veterans for answering our country's call. We will never forget what you have given us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. If Senator Rush could please come forward.
Good morning. Happy Veterans Day. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the organizers of this outstanding event because they do such a fantastic job, and it is awesome to be here this morning. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the outstanding elected officials who represent this community and always put veterans and their families first. I get to work with Representative McMurtry each and every day at the State House, representing the town of Westwood. But I also have the opportunity to work with your select board members, Elaine Cummings, Gotti, Previteris, and I'll tell you, this is an outstanding town. Doesn't everybody think so? Right? Yeah? All right. And it doesn't just happen. It happens because of blood, sweat, and tears from your select board who just love this community and always work tirelessly to make it great. So, Veterans Day celebrates the service of all U.S. military veterans, not to be confused with Memorial Day, which honors those who died while in military service. Celebrated since 1954 by decree of President Wilson. We honor and thank our veterans for their service to our country. If you're a veteran out there, raise your hand, please. All right, here we go. Thank you for your service. I am personally in awe by our veterans. I know and continue to meet in this community, across our Commonwealth and our nation. My father and grandfather, many aunts and uncles inspired me to join the United States Navy. I'm equally in awe by the support that you, however, our citizenry, show for our veterans and our military each and every day. As we honor our veterans here today, their service, their sacrifice, please let us be extremely aware that we do have soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen standing watch around the world, ready to give up their lives and pay the ultimate sacrifice at any time for our freedoms. As a sailor in the greatest Navy in the history of the world, I'm reminded of the words of former Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Arleigh Burke, who once said, "For in this modern world, the instruments of warfare are not solely for waging war. Far more importantly, they are the means for controlling peace." These words are true today for all of our veterans and service members. Continue to keep our veterans and their families in your prayers today, every day. I thank you. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Senator. If Representative McMurtry could now come up, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Commander. Good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to join you on this beautiful day as we recognize, acknowledge, and appreciate the service and sacrifice of the men and women who have worn the uniform of our country. For the many things that we take for granted, like assembling here appropriately at Veterans Park, we would not be able to do without the men and women that serve in our armed forces. And as it was just indicated, amongst us, there are a few veterans, but there's less veterans, more individuals than veterans, but all of us come together and gather to appreciate your sacrifice and your service. So on behalf of a grateful country, a grateful Commonwealth, a grateful community, and certainly as a grateful state representative, happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Representative. Before we begin our ceremony, I have a few words that I'd like to offer. Veterans Day, originally known as Armistice Day, commemorates the armistice of November 11, 1918, which marked the end of World War I. Since then, this day has evolved to recognize and honor all veterans from every generation who have served in the armed forces of the United States. In times of peace and in times of war, our veterans have exemplified the values of honor, courage, and commitment. They have displayed unwavering dedication to their fellow service members, their brothers and sisters in arms. Their love of country is proven. Not all veterans have seen combat, but all have at one time made promise to sacrifice their lives for this country if called upon. Without the strength that veterans have demonstrated in war, Americans would never enjoy their daily freedoms. We cannot fight a war without veterans, and while the utopian idea of a society without war is appealing, let us not forget that wars have liberated slaves, stopped genocide, and toppled terrorists. Therefore, the one thing we do know is that without our veterans, America would not be the America we know today. So Veterans Day is not just a day of celebration and remembrance, it's a day of action. It is a day when we must recommit ourselves to the well-being of veterans and their families. The American Legion has been a stalwart champion in this endeavor, advocating for healthier education and employment opportunities for those who have served and sacrificed. But veterans need advocates, and that is why the American Legion exists. Since its founding in 1919, we've been here to serve veterans, their families, and our communities. Veterans need each other, but more importantly, our country needs our veterans. The American Legion continues to remind the public that more than 6,000 veterans a year take their own lives. We should all commit to be the one to save the one. The 988 crisis line is available to assist anyone who is contemplating suicide. Legionnaires are asked to perform buddy checks and to request assistance for veterans in need. We can all perform this valuable service. In this era of uncertainty and division, it is our veterans who serve as a unifying force. They come from all walks of life, representing our nation's rich heritage. Yet when they put on the uniform, they become an even greater power, the embodiment of the American spirit. As we celebrate a Veterans Day today, another celebration took place yesterday, and I'd be remiss if I failed to mention the 248th birthday of the Marine Corps. Semper Fi to all of our Marine comrades. Semper Fi is short for Semper Fidelis, the motto of the Marine Corps. It is Latin for always faithful, which is an apt description of the American Legion's relationship with all who have served in our armed forces. As our nation's debt to its veterans can never fully be repaid, we must all strive to be always faithful to our veterans. Thank you for being here today. Happy Veterans Day, and God bless America. Before we begin the ceremony, I'm going to depart from my normal order of business because within the last couple of weeks we lost a dear member of our color guard, Tom Pond. And I'm going to ask Julie, his wife, to come up. I have a citation by which we transfer our members to post everlasting when they pass on. Sergeant at Arms, would you please escort Julie? On this Veterans Day, we are commemorating the service of veterans of all wars. We remember how men and women set aside their civilian pursuits to serve the nation's cause, defending the freedom of mankind and preserving our precious American heritage. We believe our strength on the field of battle, on the supply lines which nourished our armed might, lay in the justice of our cause against forces of evil. We believe our determination made us better warriors, because we fought with our minds and our hearts as well as our bodies. We recognize service to our country, and our cause does not end with the termination of military service. We continue our endeavors on behalf of an honorable world peace with a feeling of profound gratitude to God and to the men and women who gave their lives as part of the cost of the noblest of causes. If there be glory in war, it is almost an incredible spirit which it engenders. Those who offered their lives sacrifice their all with magnificent abandon. Heroism becomes contagious, yet too in warfare, greed and brutality are epidemic. Too often it is these latter which persist in the peace that follows. Let us strive to see the same spirit of self-sacrifice is cultivated in peace as has been exhibited in war. It behooves us to rear new standards of success, to inspire youth in peace as youth was inspired in war. Public honor must be given where public honor is due, not to the manipulator of a market, the seeker after profit, power, or position, but rather let us honor the heroes of science who alleviate human suffering and carry greater heights the standard of civilization. Adjutant.
War has taught us the lesson of obedience to command. The game is more than the player, the ship is more than the crew. There is a greater discipline we must now pursue if we are to preserve this virtue of obedience in our quest for an honorable world peace. That is, obedience to the laws and duty ourselves the voluntary discipline of citizenship. Under our system of government, we may change the laws by majority rule. We may persuade our neighbors to new theories and new courses. We may advocate for free elections and the choice of veterans and plans. As good citizens, we follow the choice of the majority, whether that choice be the individuals or not. This is the virtue of discipline, which must be ours in peace. This is the lesson we must learn at home. We in school or on the playing fields, in organizations, in the community, and the nation, is the lesson of voluntary obedience to the decision of the majority. We must not be unmindful either of the conclusions of other peoples with whom we have joined in the quest for an honorable world peace. This is the higher order of discipline.
In time of peace, we can use the ennobling virtues of war and put behind us its ugliness and suffering. In peace, we shall go forward together to scale new heights of achievement with unity of purpose, with sacrifice for the common good and tolerance for those of different faiths and creeds, and bravery to fight for social and economic gains, and in the discipline of good citizenship. We shall move forward in the sight of God as a strong nation in a peaceful world. I'm now going to ask our middle school students to play the national anthem. Salute the colors. Color guard, please fire a 3-round volley. Thank you for all being. I thank you to everyone for being here today. Happy Veterans Day weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you very much. That concludes our ceremony.